Welcome to Lesson 17 of Module 1, where we will be working to solve additive comparison word problems using tape diagrams. So if you'll get your problem set out, this is problem 4 on your problem set. Now, although the directions are not right above your problem, they do fall earlier on your paper. So keep in mind that we're still using those directions that tell us that we need to draw a tape diagram to represent each problem and use numbers to solve for your answer. So that tells me two things. I'm going to have one, a picture that I've drawn using my tape diagram, and two, I'm going to have some sort of equation that I've solved as well. So let's look here at your problem. We have a copper wire that was 240 meters long. After 60 meters was cut off, it was double the length of a steel wire. How much longer was the copper wire than the steel wire at first? So we've got a lot of information here, and we've got to sort through it in order for us to find exactly what it's looking for. So I'm going to underline a few things that I feel like are going to be important for me moving forward. So I have a copper wire that was 240 meters long. Then it had 60 meters cut off of it. Once there were 60 meters cut off, it was double. If I'm thinking of doubling, I'm taking that number and I'm adding it again. So I'm timesing by 2 the length of a steel wire. But I don't know what the length of my steel wire is. It doesn't tell me that. So I've got to find that. And then finally, my question, how much longer was the copper wire? How much longer than the steel wire at first? Okay. Now, if I look at my questions over here on the right-hand side, it says, can I draw something? Well, I know what I've got to draw. I've got to draw a tape diagram. So let me switch my colors here really quick. And let's see. All right, we might be hanging out here in yellow. Okay, so I'm going to draw a tape diagram for my copper wire. So C for copper. Okay, so it was 240 meters long. It had 60 meters cut off. So I'm going to make a dotted line here. We're going to cut this off. It's going to be gone. So this is 60 meters. After the 60 meters was cut off, it was double the length of a steel wire. Okay, so I'm going to show my steel wire down here. Again, I don't know how long this is. This is my missing number. So first of all, I've got to figure out, after my copper wire was cut, how long was it? So I'm going to take my 240, my original length, and I'm going to subtract the 60 meters that was cut off of it. Okay, when I subtract, I look at my ones placed first. So a 0 minus 0, I know is 0. 4 minus 6, I can't do that. So I've got to borrow. My 2 becomes a 1. I bring over 10, so my 4 now becomes a 14. I have 14 minus 6, which is 8. And 1 minus my invisible 0 here, which is 1. So my leftover now is, there we go. My leftover now is, there we go, there's my colors, is 180 meters. Now, I know that after that was cut off, it was double the length. So I've got to think, what could the steel wire be if 180 is double the length? So this times 2 equals 180. Okay, well, if I just think about this here, I'm going to ignore this 0. I'm just going to ignore this for a second. What times 2 gives me 18? What times 2 gives me 18? Well, if I think about my math facts here, I know that 9 times 2 equals 18. Knowing that, and knowing that I've got 18 times 10 gives me 180, I've got to take that 9 and also multiply it by 10, which gives me 90. Now, there's many other ways that you can solve to find that. I just need to cut 180 in half. When I do that, I get 90. 90 meters. Okay, let's look and see if we've answered our questions over here at the top. Can I draw something? Yes. What can I draw? I drew a tape diagram. What conclusions can you make from your drawing? Well, I know that the copper wire is longer than the steel wire by my drawing. I know it's longer. When I look at my final question here, how much longer was the copper wire than the steel wire at first? Well, to start, my copper wire was 240 meters. That was the beginning for my copper. While I know that my steel wire, they never really told us what it started as, but that's what we ended up solving for, ended up as 90 meters. So I want to know how much longer in order to solve that. So I'm looking for this missing section. I want to know how much longer is that. In order to solve that, I've got to subtract. So I've got 0 minus 0. 4 minus 9, I can't do that, so I've got to borrow. Bringing over 10, and it becomes 14. 14 minus 9 is 5, and 1 minus 0 is 1. Now I want to check that. So if I check that, I want to take my final answer, 150, and I want to add it to the number I've subtracted. So whatever this number is, plus my original length of my steel wire, should give me my total of my copper wire if I've subtracted correctly. And they match. That's a good sign. Yay. Okay, now, what is my final answer here? Well, my final answer should be that the copper wire was 150 meters longer than the steel wire at first. 150 meters is that missing question mark right there. Be sure that you have your work on your paper for this problem as well. If you need to go back and re-watch parts of the video to get your work in, go ahead and do that.